turn for home. Right on that turn, that horse shied out.
Oh.
Okay, we are online.
So they're bred to be just so.
Well, they're running 45 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
and they're like cars, only they've got really actual moving parts that you can see. So
They're beautiful running.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
yes, so it's possible that Linda will go back and watch this. So we'll be on video. So we're talking Kentucky Derby, Linda. If you watch this, that's what we're talking. That was what we were talking about. We weren't talking about Daniel. We were talking about the Kentucky Derby. So Preakness is in 2 weeks, and then is the Belmont 2 weeks?
3 weeks. The Belmont's the longest race.
Okay, so it's the last.
And it's 3 weeks after the Preakness.
Oh, okay. So 2 weeks to the Preakness and 3 weeks to the Belmont. Okay.
Mile and a quarter, and then you drop back to a mile and an eighth on the Preakness. It's the shortest, and then a mile and a half on the Belmont.
So okay. So does this horse that won? I don't even. What's the horse's name?
Country House.
Country. Does it have a chance of winning the Triple Crown? I mean, is it?
I don't know. Belmont said that they initially had planned on running it in the Preakness because it is a shorter race. In Belmont, he would set up perfectly for it. So since they won the Derby, I bet you $100 they put it on.
I bet he won't be 65 to 1 odd long shot. What are you gonna bet?
Well,
I mean, he may not be the favorite even, but I bet he's not that much of a long shot. So.
it's just a freaking nature that he won.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So we are at the start of chapter 10. And we had just ended where Daniel is having a conversation with Gabriel, I think it is, about the 70 weeks, and especially for the holy city, for when the holy city, when Jerusalem will be just redone, or they'll return to that. Well, no, it's talking about when the prince that's going to come that will desecrate the city and desecrate the temple, right? That's the part that's where what it was talking about.
The city of the sanctuary.
Yeah.
And will come like a flood.
Yeah. And in their place shall be an abomination that desolates until the decreed end is poured out upon the desolator. Okay, so then chapter 10. We move to a vision of the last days. So this is the vision that has to do with the end times. That's where we're starting to get into, or at least it's seen as being that. In the 3rd day of King Cyrus of Persia, a word was revealed to Daniel, who was named Belteshazzar. The word was true, and it concerned a great conflict. He understood the word, having received understanding in the vision. So that's sort of a little introduction. It's because it starts then next. At that time, I, Daniel, so it changes to him speaking.
He spends all his time in a vision somewhere.
Yeah, he does have a lot of vision. You get the idea he's been smoking a lot of something, or he's definitely got his medical marijuana card.
That's what I always thought about John.
Yeah. He was on something really serious.
He was on top.
Yeah. At that time, I, Daniel, had been mourning for 3 weeks. I had eaten no rich food, no meat or wine had entered my mouth, and I had not anointed myself at all for the full 3 weeks. On the 24th day of the 1st month, let's see, is that? It doesn't say what that, I guess it doesn't matter. As I was standing on the banks of the great river, that is the Tigris, I looked up and saw a man clothed in linen with a belt of gold from Uphaz around his waist. His body was like beryl. Chrysolite. Okay, so it's a form of, it's a mineral. It's a mineral, right? His body was, his face like lightning, his eyes like flaming torches, his arms and legs like the gleam of burnished bronze, and the sound of his word like the roar of a multitude. Now, so I saw a man clothed in linen. So who is this man? That's one of those that, is that Jesus? Is that the Christ? Is that what we're looking at? Okay. So that was probably how we would interpret that. I, Daniel, alone saw the vision. The people who were with me did not see the vision, though a great trembling fell upon them, and they fled and hid themselves. So in this case, it appears as if he's not by himself. He's actually in a group when he sees this vision, and the others don't see it, but something freaks them out and they run off. So I was alone to see this great vision. My strength left me, and my complexion grew deathly pale, and I retained no strength. Then I heard the sound of his words, and when I heard the sound of his words, I fell into a trance, face to the ground. So he's down on his knees with his face to the ground. But then a hand touched me and roused me to my hands and knees. He said to me, Daniel, greatly beloved, pay attention to the words that I'm going to speak to you. Stand on your feet, for I have now been sent to you. So while he was speaking, now that right there, mine says that it is possible that this is it's further on down. Okay. I've been sent to you. So while he was speaking this word to me, I stood up trembling. He said to me, do not fear, Daniel, for from the first day that you set your mind to gain understanding and to humble yourself before your God, your words have been heard. That's kind of nice. Daniel, he's, this whole time you've been, good, faithful. And from the very beginning, you were, God was blessed with it, blessing you. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia opposed me 21 days. Okay, so the prince or the head of the kingdom of Persia would be Cyrus the Great, right? Would seem to me. So he opposed me 21 days. So Michael, one of the chief princes, and I don't think in that case that prince is not, I think we're talking Michael, the archangel Michael, right?
That's what mine says.
Okay, or the Jewish patron angel, yeah. Came to help me, and I left him there with the prince of the kingdom of Persia, and have come to help you understand what is to happen to your people at the end of days, for there is a further vision for those days. Okay, so he's saying that if this is Christ, that's how we see it. I'm here, and I've been dealing with the prince of Persia, which would be Cyrus. He opposed me, and so I'm still working on that. I've got Michael working on that. And I've come to tell you about the last days, right? So while he was speaking these words to me, I turned my face towards the ground and was speechless. Then one in human form. So that says to me that one in human form, I don't know, maybe the same person or maybe somebody different. I don't know. Let's see. Touched my lips, and I opened my mouth to speak, and said to the one who stood before me, my Lord, because of the vision, such pains have come upon me that I retain no strength. How can my Lord's servant talk with my Lord? For I am shaking, no strength remains in me, and no breath is left in me. So it doesn't seem like that's a different person, but that's a really odd way to do that. Is to say, he's saying, I was he says, I turned my face towards the ground and was speechless. Then one in human form. So why not just say then he? How does yours read that? Different ones use. Verse 16.
Then one who looked like a man touched my lips, and I opened my mouth and began to speak.
Okay.
What about
you, Mickey?
For me, so there's somebody else.
Well, see, that's what I don't know.
See, I think this is the angel has come at this point. It says, then someone, he looked like a man, touched my lips.
So it does appear to be some other person. Yeah. It does, yeah.
It's not the one with the glowing.
The belt and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, and now see mine, if I go back to 10:5, I'm sorry I missed this. The man was a celestial being, probably Gabriel. So not necessarily the Christ. We said the Christ, but maybe this is Gabriel, and maybe there's other angels with him. But Gabriel was in human form. So just because it was in human form doesn't mean it was a human. That, I mean, if it says it was in human form, that seems to imply the exact opposite, that it's not human. It looks like it's human because otherwise it would just say then a man, or then a woman. It wouldn't say then one in human form. You're right. Who looked like a man, right?
If you look above there on, whatever, 13, when it's talking about the 21 days, then Michael, one of the top officers of the heavenly army, came to help me.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So would Michael be coming to help Gabriel or Jesus?
I don't know. I mean, that's one. It's not super. I mean, I think you could perhaps see it as being Jesus, or you could see it as being Gabriel. I mean, Gabriel is like the head archangel, so maybe the Lord sent Gabriel to deal with Cyrus. We don't know. I mean, that's some of these things. There's not. It's not clear cut. It's always a little iffy. So, okay. So he's got these pains. How can my Lord servant talk with my Lord? For I am shaking, no strength remains in me. Verse 18. Again, one in human form touched me and strengthened me. So whoever this other thing is, this other being, touches him and gives him a strength. He said, "Do not fear, greatly beloved. You are safe. Be strong and courageous." When he spoke to me, I was strengthened and said, "Let my Lord speak, for you have strengthened me." Then he said, "Do you know why I have come to you? Now I must return to fight against the prince of Persia, and when I am through with him, the prince of Greece will come." So he's telling him, once I get done with Cyrus, the Persians, right, of Persia, then there will be a prince of Greece, and that prince of Greece is Alexander the Great. Okay, that's who he's talking about. But I am to tell you what is inscribed in the book of truth. Now that's interesting, because that's one I don't know that I've ever heard.
I know the book of the future.
Of the future, okay, but it's a different book. We hear a lot about the book of life, but not so much about the book of truth, or the book of the future.
This is a reference to God's book of the destinies of all human beings. So that's the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's one of those that I don't know that I like that. In that, well, I realize that, and so anyway, so he's going to tell him what's going to come in the future. There is no one with me who contends against these princes except Michael, your prince. So Michael is the one that's sort of the patron angel of the Jews, and so the one that either it is Jesus or it's Gabriel saying that the only one that's with me is Michael. As for me, in the first year of Darius the Mede, I stood up to support and strengthen him. Okay, so this is the same guy talking, right? This is either Jesus or Gabriel. As for me, in the first year of Darius the Mede, so he's backed up, right? The Babylonian Empire's fallen. The Medo-Persians have taken over, or maybe it's just straight Persians and Darius is just a Mede. But the angels of the Lord are there to strengthen him, right? So he's upheld. Now I will announce the truth to you. 3 more kings shall arise in Persia. The 4th shall be far richer than all of them, and when he becomes strong through his riches, he shall stir up all against the kingdom of Greece. Okay, so let's see. If the 3 more are those after Darius, they are probably Cambyses, Darius the First, and Xerxes the First, who warred with the Greeks. Okay, so that's those are the 3. Then a warrior king shall arise, who shall rule with great dominion and take action as he pleases. The 4th then is Artaxerxes. And I can tell you those are historic. Xerxes and Artaxerxes are all historic people. shall stir up against King Greece, and then the Lord. Now, it's possible that the king, the Greek, the prince of the Greeks, that's possible that it's not Alexander, that instead at this point perhaps it's his father Philip, because I don't believe that the Persians hold off Alexander. So it's probably his father Philip, which he expanded the kingdom of Greece, but not to the extent that Alexander does. So that would make some sense. That would sound right. So we have this warrior king who shall arise, and let's say that's probably Alexander. The warrior king is Alexander the Great. And while still rising in power, his kingdom shall be broken. He dies and is divided along the four winds of heaven, but not to his posterity, nor according to the dominion with which he ruled. For his kingdom shall be uprooted and go to others besides these, because his kingdom is split into four groups, and there are four different Greek provinces with provincial governors. So it's not a unified kingdom.
Antipater.
Okay, so those are the four.
That's the four horns.
Right, of the ram, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Then the king of the south shall grow strong, but one of his officers, and that's probably Seleucid, I think is who we're talking about there. No, it says Ptolemy. Wait. The king of the south are the Ptolemies. Those of the north are the Seleucids. Okay, so Ptolemy is when you think south, that's like Egypt. That's the part of the Greek kingdom that the Ptolemies are in the south, which is in Egypt. The king of the south shall grow strong, and one of his officers shall grow stronger than he, and shall rule a realm greater than his own realm. After some years, they shall make an alliance, and the daughter of the king of the south shall come to the king of the north to ratify the agreement. But she shall not retain her power, and his offspring shall not endure. She shall be given up, she and her attendants and her child and the one who supported her. So mine says, Ptolemy II gave his daughter Bernice to Antiochus II, but Bernice, her attendant, and her child and her husband fell, owing to the plot of Laodice, mother of Seleucus. Okay, so they were killed by the mother of the king of the north. Okay, so all this intrigue between these Greek kingdoms. Okay, in those times, a branch from her root shall rise up in his place. Now, and by her root the branch is Ptolemy III. He shall come against the army and enter the fortress of the king of the north, and he shall take action against them and prevail. So he's going to overthrow the kingdom of the north, right? Which is the Seleucids. Even their gods with their idols and with their precious vessels of silver and gold, he shall carry off to Egypt as spoils of war. So Ptolemy III, so the king of the south will conquer the king of the north, right? That's what it's saying. And he'll carry off their gods and their vessels and all of that, all the spoils of war off to Egypt, which is the kingdom of the south. For some years he shall refrain from attacking the king of the north. Then the latter shall invade the realm of the king of the south, but will return to his own land. So there's this conflict going on between the north and the south. His sons shall wage war and assemble a multitude of great forces, which shall advance like a flood and pass through, and again shall carry the war as far as his fortress. Moved with rage, the king of the south, which Ptolemy, shall go out and do battle against the king of the north, who shall muster a great multitude, which shall, however, be defeated by his enemy. When the multitude has been carried off, his heart shall be exalted, and he shall overthrow tens of thousands, but he shall not prevail. For the king of the north shall again raise a multitude larger than the former, and after some years he shall advance with a great army and abundant supply. So you're getting all of this attacking between the north and the south.
And they're attacking because Israel is in between there.
Right. So
You
that's
got Syria to the north, Egypt to the south.
Okay.
and you've got Israel
Okay.
between.
Right. Okay. So it's
And it's
So-
going on and on.
yes, it's going on and on, and they're basically they're basically Israel is their battleground. I mean that because it's right in the middle.
They got dead people laying all over.
Well, I mean, I don't know that about that per se, but yeah, probably. In those times, many shall rise against the king of the south. Now, but also remember that most of this he's talking about happens after the people of Israel will come out of Babylon, right? They with Cyrus, they're able to return to Israel, and Jerusalem is rebuilt and the temple is rebuilt. And all. So the people of Israel are now back home, but all of this bloodshed now is going on all around them, and they're just sort of caught up in it. And this is what is called the intertestament period. This is that period between the end of when the Old Testament and the start of the New Testament. And so this is a lot of what is going on in that period.
So
Okay.
how are they keeping safe, or are they not?
But probably not exactly. No, I mean they're probably when they see the armies come. In this day and age, a lot, like I think I said before, we're talking cities. That was this morning. City states, and so you would have a city that was pretty well defended, and then you might have little villages around it. But if you knew that there was going to be danger, everyone would go within the city and be inside the walls. And so, and they weren't there to conquer the people of Israel. They were there to fight against. They just became the battleground. And so they weren't looking to kill the people of Israel. They were looking to fight the enemies that were from the north or from the south.
So the people of Israel were not involved at all.
It doesn't. I don't think, as I remember, not if they are not that much, because it's more that they're just caught in the middle, and so that's well. I mean, it's a lot. That's how it is in most wars. I mean, not every war, but most wars. You have the armies that are invading and the armies that are defending, and then you have the civilians that aren't. Think about in Syria right now. You've got like ISIS, and then you have Russian forces, and you have Kurdish forces, and all this. But then you got the people that lived in Syria. That's why they're all in refugee camps and stuff, is because they weren't really involved in the fighting. They weren't involved in the war. They either they were been killed or they fled, and so you get it becomes unless it's people defending their homeland from an outside invasion. When it's this kind of civil war, a lot of times you have people, but Palestine wasn't being invaded. It was just the battleground between these two kingdoms coming together. So, okay. In those times, many shall rise against the king of the south. The lawless among your own people shall lift themselves up in order to fulfill the vision, but they shall fail. So that one, verse 14, actually does reference your own people. And there will be people, and this is where we get the Maccabees, which is a family that will have some leadership amongst the Jews, and there will be some rebellion that takes place. And in the Apocrypha, the Intertestament Apocrypha, there are some references to like they try to gain their independence, and they're not successful in that kind of stuff. So I think that's what this is reference to. Okay, mine says a reference to the Egyptian insurrections under the child king Ptolemy V. Okay, so that when there was a weak king in the south, there was insurrection. It says Egyptian, but if it says your people, it would seem to me that includes Israel.
Mine says insurgents among your own people. The Jews will join them.
Okay, so so the Jews join in the insurgents of the Egyptians. They're not sort of on their own, but they'll fail.
Yeah, this says Jews who joined the forces of Antiochus.
Okay.
Antiochus.
Then the king of the north shall come and throw up siege works and take a well-fortified city. Antiochus III campaigned against Egypt, taking possession of Palestine, then made peace with Egypt, sealing it by marrying his daughter to the beautiful. Okay, so this is a lot of this. I mean, this is well documented that what is written here is what happens, what comes. And the forces of the south shall not stand, not even his picked troops, for there shall be no strength to resist. But he who comes against him shall take the actions he pleases, and no one shall withstand him. He shall take a position in the beautiful land. Beautiful land is a reference to Israel. Okay. He shall take a position in the beautiful land, and all of it shall be in his power. He shall set his mind to come with the strength of his whole kingdom, and he shall bring terms of peace and perform them. So this is talking about this Antiochus III. In order to destroy the kingdom, he shall give him a woman in marriage, but it shall not succeed or be to his advantage. So that idea of offering, was it his daughter? Yeah, his daughter. Afterward, he shall turn to the coastland and shall capture many, but a commander shall put into his insolence indeed. He shall turn his insolence back upon him. Then he shall turn back towards the fortress of his own land, but he shall stumble and fall and shall not be found. So this is this intrigue, and Antiochus undertook a campaign to capture the coastland of Asia Minor, but checked by the Roman commander, he started plundering on his return journey and died at Elymais. Okay, so now, okay, that reference this is in a footnote of mine, says that he's checked by the Roman commander. So I'm not sure when the Romans enter the scene, but they do at some point, because that, at least that's a possibility. And I don't know whether is Rome one of the other four? When they're divided into four kingdoms, if one of them, if Ptolemy is in Egypt and the Seleucids are Syria, and one's the north and one's the south, and what are the east and the west? Where are they located at? And let's see if somebody has.
This says that the daughter of Antiochus was Cleopatra the First.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the daughter in that one.
In marriage to Ptolemy the Fifth in 194 BC.
Lucius is of Babylonia, Antiochus of Syria and Asia Minor, and Antipater of Macedonia and Greece.
Okay, so that Macedonia and Greece, and maybe that kingdom will be the one that will become the Roman kingdom, the kingdom of Rome. Persian Empire. Okay, so just looking to see if I had anything that shows Persian Hellenistic times. Hellenistic. Okay, here we go. So Ptolemy is there. Seleucid is there. Yeah, I see him across there. Then where?
Antiochus is Syria and Asia Minor.
Now see, mine doesn't show. Mine shows Seleucid's empire as being all the way from Asia Minor all the way across to Babylon and over to, all the way. It doesn't show a separate kingdom up in there for. And then it doesn't show the one that's in Macedonia and Greece, which is interesting. Okay, all right. Okay, but I don't think when we say Cleopatra, if that's who the daughter is, that's not the Cleopatra that will be with Mark Antony, because that's a different.
Early.
Yeah, this is way too early, because that's in the Roman period, which is.
This is Cleopatra the First.
Right.
So
the other one may be Cleopatra the 10th.
Yeah, we don't, yeah, but that's the one that we just know her as Cleopatra because she's the only one that's probably has that much historic significance. But it's definitely not. That's not the same Cleopatra. Is what I'm getting at. Okay. Okay. So then, verse 20. Then shall arise in his place one who shall send an official for the glory of the kingdom. I think verse 20. Mine says Seleucus the fourth succeed him.
Yes.
and help pay the Roman indemnity. So the Roman Empire has arisen at this point. Okay, so that you're getting this the very tail end of the Greeks, and then the rise of the Romans. Okay, and so and mine says he'll pay the Roman indemnity because you paid off the Romans to keep them happy, to keep them from coming after you. He sent to Jerusalem an official, Heliodorus, to seize the temple treasure. So that's the idea of how to pay it off, right?
Yeah, robbed it and desecrated the temple.
Okay. Then shall arise in his place one who shall send an official for the glory of the kingdom, but within a few days he shall be broken, though not in anger or in battle. In his place shall arise a contemptible person on whom royal majesty had not been conferred. He shall come in without warning and obtain the kingdom through intrigue. Okay, that's so now we're into a whole line of this is Antiochus the fourth Epiphanes, and this is the one who's going to desecrate the temple, right? Armies shall ultimately be swept away and broken before him, and the prince of the covenant as well. And after the prince of the covenant, I would think right there, that prince of the covenant, that's probably whoever the leader of the Jewish people is, right? Because the covenant would be a reference to the Jews. And so the prince of the covenant would be whoever. So
this says either the high priest Onias III, who was murdered in 170 BC, or if the Hebrew for this phase is translated Confederate Prince Ptolemy VI.
Okay, so
Philometor.
They have some names, don't they? Okay, so probably I would bet at that point it's probably, if he's the prince of the covenant, that's probably the high priest. 22.
That's what it says here. Either the high priest is probably good.
Yeah. Okay. And after an alliance is made with him, he shall act deceitfully and become strong with this small party. Without warning, he shall come to the richest parts of the province and do what none of his predecessors has ever done, lavishing plunder, spoil, and wealth on them. He shall devise plans against strongholds, but only for a time. He shall stir up his power and determination against the king of the south with a great army. And the king of the south shall wage war with a much greater and stronger army, but he shall not succeed, for the plots shall be devised against him by those who eat of the royal rations. So there's all this intrigue. It's all going on, right? They shall break him. His army shall be swept away, and many shall fall slain. The two kings, their mind bent on evil, shall sit at one table and exchange lies. Doesn't that sound like politics? But it shall not succeed, for there remains an end at the time appointed. He shall return to his land with great wealth, but his heart shall be set against the holy covenant. He shall work his will and return to his own land. Okay, so now, is this talking? Do we get to where they actually talk about? Yeah, it's in the part to come. Okay, so this is talking about. Mine says this is talking about the Antiochus the fourth Epiphanes, his Egyptian campaign in 169. So we've now come to 169 BC, right? And that's I think the time frame. So we're getting now much closer to the time of Jesus. Okay, he invaded Egypt and captured Ptolemy the sixth. Troubles at home forced him to leave Egypt, and on his way back with great booty, he sacked Jerusalem and plundered the treasury. Now, plunder the treasury is not the same as plundering the temple. Okay, all right. Now, 29. Mine says the second campaign. At the time appointed, he shall return. So this is Antiochus the third. No, Antiochus the fourth Epiphanes. He shall return and come into the south, but this time it shall not be as it was before. For ships of Kittim shall come against him. What are ships of Kittim?
Mine says Roman warships.
Okay, Roman warships.
Western
Yes.
coastlands.
Or it says, or from Cyprus.
Okay. Second campaign against Egypt
Roman
when
vessels
Romans.
under the command of Popilius.
Okay, and Siddim is Cyprus, and so that's where the Cyprus reference comes in. But now we get Rome. So Rome is now involved in this whole thing, right? Ships from Kittim or Cyprus, which it would be the Roman ships, shall come against him, and he shall lose heart and withdraw. He shall be enraged and take action against the holy covenant. That's the people of Israel, right, or the land of Israel. He shall turn back and pay heed to those who forsake the holy covenant. Forces sent by him shall occupy and profane the temple and fortress. So now he comes back, he retreats back to Jerusalem. Because remember, Jerusalem isn't on the sea. Jerusalem is inland. And that's why they're sort of protected from a lot of invasion, is because they're not on the sea. Or on the Mediterranean, I guess you would say. But he retreats from the coast back to Jerusalem, and they come in and they're going to profane the temple and fortress. They shall abolish the regular burnt offering, so they stop the sacrificial system.
And they said the reason that they stopped all that was because by polluting the sanctuary, it says by offering swine on the altar.
Ooh. Okay. So that's
no.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's why they quit the
They
because it was unclean.
And so okay. And set up the abomination that makes desolate. That would be that, right? That's what she's talking about. He shall seduce with intrigue those who violate the covenant, but the people who are loyal to their God shall stand firm and take action. The wise among the people shall give understanding to many for some days. However, they shall fall by sword and flame and suffer captivity and plunder. When they fall victim, they shall receive a little help, and many shall join them insincerely. Some of the wise shall fall, so that they may be refined, purified, and cleansed until the time of the end, where there is still an interval until the time appointed. Okay, so this all is happening, but we're still not at the end of the time, right? Because we know we're not, because we're in that period from then until the end of time. A heathen altar. They set up a heathen altar in the temple. That's what mine says. The resistance movement, some Hellenizing Jews sided with Antiochus, forsaking the covenant, but the wise, though persecuted, maintained resistance. The little help may refer to the Maccabees, Mattathias and his son Judas Maccabee, and that's in First Maccabees, which is one of the apocryphal books, the intertestamental books. Okay. Okay, now, verse 36, the king shall act as he pleases. He shall exalt himself and consider himself greater than any god, and shall speak horrendous things against the God of gods. He shall prosper until the period of wrath is completed, for what is determined shall be done. He shall pay no respect to the gods of his ancestors, or to the one beloved by women,
Footnote says Tammuz, Adonis, a Babylonian god.
Okay. He shall pay no respect to any other god, for he shall consider himself greater than all. He shall honor the god of fortresses instead of these, a god whom his ancestors did not know. He shall honor with gold and silver, with precious stones and costly gifts. So I don't know if that doesn't. We don't really know exactly who that is. That who that.
That's the little horn, which would be the Antichrist.
Oh, okay. He shall deal with the strongest fortress by the help of a foreign god. Those who acknowledge him shall make more. For those that acknowledge him, he shall make more wealthy, and shall appoint them as rulers over many, and shall distribute the land for the prince. Okay, so what you're saying when you say that that's the Antichrist? So then what we're saying is that this is one of those where you read into it double meanings, right? One meaning is what happened historically, not at the time of Daniel. Remember, Daniel lives during the reign of the Babylonians, Nebuchadnezzar.
But this vision is a vision of the end times.
Right, but it's also a vision of what's going to happen to Israel in the future which is during this intertestamental period, but it also is a vision that deals with the end of time. That's what I'm getting at. So we can talk about it as, okay, this person who desecrates the temple and all of this, that's Antiochus the fourth or sixth or whatever. But it's also talks about that at the end of time, this kind of thing is going to happen, right? That there's going to arise this king that is going to um, uh, cause all of these problems, and he's going to see himself as a god. He's going to be more powerful, and it won't necessarily be a king. I think we have to remember that Daniel is writing in a way, and God is revealing to Daniel in a way that Daniel could understand. I mean, the powerful leaders at his time were kings. That doesn't mean that in our time it's going to be someone whose title is king. Because I mean, if you think about it, there aren't any kingdoms where there are powerful kings anymore. I mean, King and Queen of England, I mean, they're all figureheads. There aren't any that are really powerful. So it may not be a king. It could be someone that is a president or a prime minister, or it could be somebody that's not even necessarily government. We now have, with multinational corporations and all kinds we have people that are exceedingly powerful that we don't even know who they are. I mean, they run the show behind the scenes kind of thing. And so, now this guy seems to be, obviously he's somebody, by the time he gets to this point, he's somebody that everybody knows. But who knows what it could be in the future, especially.
Don't they still have kings now in Egypt and Syria?
No, well, yeah. Now that you mention it, they do in some of the Middle Eastern countries. They do king. Yeah, like in Saudi Arabia has kings. Egypt, I don't think has. I think Egypt has.
What's his name?
Hussein. Whatever king.
No, but I don't know. I don't. Yeah, and it could be, and just because a king doesn't have power now doesn't mean something might not change where the king may regain power. You know what I'm saying? Even though right now Great Britain is a constitutional monarchy, which means the king is there, but all the power rests in Parliament and the prime ministers and all that. But there's nothing to say that in a crisis situation, the king could not become a powerful force. So we don't. I mean, we can't say that. But I'm just saying it could also be that it's not a king. It doesn't have to be somebody with the name king. It could be someone with a different title. Is all I'm getting at. Okay.
Someone powerful.
Someone yes, very powerful, who sees themselves as a god, right? Because this person is he pays no respect to any other god, for he shall consider himself greater than all.
So is this the Antichrist?
I don't know. Is this the Antichrist?
That's what
Okay. It could be. It could be. Okay. Right.
What's that psycho in Iran? What's his name? The big priest.
The Ayatollah. I mean, they don't have a. Yeah, I mean at different times they've had people like that, but right now I don't know if they've got someone like that's a real powerful religious person like an Ayatollah, because you're not hearing a lot about that kind of thing. But you don't know. It's like I'd never even thought about it, but recently, just like a week ago, there was an announcement that the Emperor of Japan was abdicating. I didn't even realize they had an Emperor of Japan, but whoever it was abdicated, and then his brother, I think, was going to take the throne. Well, in Japan, the Emperor doesn't have, it's ceremonial basically, and so it's not that big a deal. But you never know what could happen, and even though there may not be a strong Ayatollah right now in Iran, that doesn't mean that there couldn't be. That there could be, those kind of people can arise. And then he shall deal with the strongest fortress by the help of a foreign god. And I don't know who that foreign god would be. Who, what? It's one of those foreign god. Would that be a Roman god? I mean, if you're looking at it from their time frame, I don't know. I don't know. Okay, so then verse 40. At the end of time, at the time of the end, so we're talking the end, right? The king of the south shall attack him, but the king of the north shall rush upon him like a whirlwind with chariots and horsemen and many ships. He shall advance against countries and pass through like a flood. He shall come into the beautiful land. That's another one. That's a reference to Israel. Okay. And tens of thousands shall fall victim. But Edom and Moab and the main part of the Ammonites shall escape from his power. Now that's one of those where those are terms. I don't even know that there were Edomites and Moabites even still in existence. Even at those are the people that are indigenous to the country. Kind of, I get the idea. Not necessarily those actual names. He shall stretch out his hand against the countries, and the land of Egypt shall not escape. He shall become ruler of the treasures of gold and of silver, and all the riches of Egypt, and the Libyans and the Ethiopians shall follow in his train. So that means at that point, then, that this king of the north, right? Is this the king of the north? Has advanced down into Egypt, but not only into Egypt, but further west, which would be where Libya is, and further south, which is where the Ethiopians. So you're talking then about most of North Africa. That would include most of North Africa. So now the kingdom of the north has taken the kingdom of the south.
This says Nubians. Is that the same?
Nubians are Ethiopians. Yeah. And actually, mine says or Nubians, and then it says in Hebrew they're Cushites, but that's the same. The name. Yeah, the name is for the same group. But reports from the east and the north shall alarm him, and he shall go out with a great fury to bring ruin and complete destruction to many. He shall pitch his palatial tents between the sea and the beautiful holy mountain, that would be Mount Zion. So he camps out between the sea and Jerusalem. Yet he shall come to his end with no one to help him. Okay, so that is not the final end. So this is kind of setting up the final end. You've got this huge army and people camped out in that area between Jerusalem and the Mediterranean Sea, right? And then in chapter 12, we're going to get what's called the final consummation. Mine says 12 through 13, 1 through 13 is the final consummation. How about if we go and just wait on that one until next time? Because I think we're going to get to the point where we're going to read a little bit of this and then some of this and then have very little. If we do this, we can devote next time to doing because we've got about 10 minutes. I don't know. Do you want to go ahead and finish? I mean, we could probably maybe finish it. You want to go ahead and finish it? Call it quits. I think maybe that'd be a good idea because we're at a point. Okay, let's go ahead. We're gonna do all of chapter 12. At that time, Michael, the great prince. Now remember, Michael is an angel, though. He's not. Right. It says prince, but we're talking the archangel Michael. The protector of your people shall arise. There shall be a time of anguish such as never occurred since nations first came into existence. But at that time, your people shall be delivered. Everyone who is found written in the book. Now, in that case, the book is not the book of truth, but that would be the book of life, I would assume. Right?
Let's see.
The book. So we don't know exactly which book, but maybe the book of life. Many of those who sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, and some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. And that's the reference to resurrection, right? Okay, and supposedly mine says that this is the first clear reference to resurrection in the Bible. So think about that, though. In terms of Jewish history and belief, Daniel happens very, very late, so that they've gone through most of their history with no concept of resurrection. And then when we get to Daniel, is when we get to the idea of resurrection. Now, that reference in seemed to me in Isaiah was pretty pretty specific about resurrection, but it didn't, for some reason, it didn't seem to take hold at that time. Or maybe it's a fairly late reference too. But even then, even late Isaiah would probably be pretty late. All right, so those who are sleep in the dust awake. Those who are wise shall shine like the brightness of the sky. Grand those who lead many to righteousness, like the stars forever and ever. So those who are wise, and in this case, wise probably mean who have followed the word or the covenant. It's not wise in just because they're smart. I mean, I don't think that's the people of God. And so in that case, if it's the people of God, then it just means because they're Jews. Those who are Jews, okay, they'll shine. But you, Daniel, keep the word secret and the book sealed until the time of the end. Many shall be running back and forth, and evil shall increase. Okay, so Daniel's told to kind of lock the word up and keep it sealed. Verse 5, then I, Daniel, looked, and two others appeared, one standing on the bank of the stream and one on the other. One standing on this bank of the stream, so there's two, one on each bank. One of them said to the man clothed in linen who was upstream. So that would be the one that we had from before. If we go back to where this whole thing started, there's the one that was that we think may have been Christ, or may have been Gabriel, right?
So this whole time they've been talking.
This has all been vision
or
explanation of what's going to come. Yes, right. But then there's still this third part. There's still this person that is either the Christ or Gabriel, the man in the linen with the belt, all that kind of stuff. So one of them said to the man clothed in linen who was upstream, how long shall it be until the end of these wonders? The man clothed in linen who was upstream raised his right hand and his left hand towards the heaven. And I heard him swear by the one who lives forever that it would be for a time, 2 times, and half a time.
3.5 years.
Okay. Well, that's one way to interpret it, right? Because it could be, because we know that none of this happens within 3.5 years of when Daniel does this thing, right? So it's really 3.5 years measured in some measurement. We don't know what the measurement is. And that when the shattering of the power of the holy people comes to an end, all these things would be accomplished. I heard but could not understand, so I said, my Lord, what shall be the outcome of these things? And he said, go your way, Daniel, for the words are to remain secret and sealed until the time of the end. Many shall be purified, cleansed, and refined, but the wicked shall continue to act wickedly. That's a really good, Daniel's thing is, what's going to come of all this? And this man, the one in linen, right, says, go your way, the words will remain sealed. And really it's more the meaning, right? Will remain sealed until the end. Many will be purified and cleansed and refined. So many will be right. But the wicked shall continue to act wickedly. That's true. The wicked are going to be the wicked. None of the wicked shall understand, but those who are wise shall understand. So, and see, that makes me really think right there that when he says, seal up, keep secret, keep the word secret in the book sealed until the time of the end. It doesn't mean that we aren't supposed to see the book, because the book, the words on the page and what it's told that happen, those we need, because we need that guidance and direction to know what we're supposed to be doing. But it's more the meaning of it, or when that when it's actually going to happen is going to be a secret. It's not going to be, you can't say that for a time, 2 times, and a half a time doesn't necessarily mean 3.5 years, right? You know what I mean? It's you can read that, and if you want to be literal, you maybe can do that, but and so basically, he's kind of saying to Daniel, don't worry about what it all means, other than know that some will do well, the righteous will, we would say those who come to Christ right, shall be purified, cleansed, and refined. But then those who don't, those who are wicked, will continue to do wickedness, right? And none of the wicked shall understand, but those who are wise shall understand. Those who are the chosen ones, those who do have faith, will understand.
See, my sentence says only those who are willing to learn will know what it means.
Okay. Well, and yeah, and I would say those who are willing to learn are those who would believe as well. I mean, I think they're one and the same. Okay, so the wicked aren't going to get it. They're never gonna. They're not. They're not. They put their fingers in their ears and go la la la. They don't want to understand. From the time that the regular burnt offering is taken away, and the abomination that desolates it is set up, there shall be 1,290 days. Now, see, this is one reason why, in Israel and with certain groups in America, this is why some of them are so pro-Israel, is the belief that the temple has to be rebuilt. Okay, because if this is the end times, and you're going to have the desolation of the temple, well, you got to have the temple back in order to do that. And so a lot of American, really conservative American Christians are pushing, trying to get Israel to rebuild the temple. The whole thing of moving the capital from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem was one of the steps. I mean, that's trying to increase the Jews' focus on, and because they feel like that there has to be a temple there in order for there to be a desolation. So if you're looking at when all this can happen, first you got to wait until a temple is built so that it can be desolated. Then it's going to be 1,290 days.
Why does the temple have to be desolated?
Because that's part of the prophecy. I mean, I don't know why.
It's already been desolated once or twice.
It's going to be rebuilt.
Rebuilt, and I mean it's.
Part of the temple, and the part they don't have is the Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah.
So they don't have a clue where that is.
Yeah. And that's been missing.
That's got to be.
Yeah. So it's
the temple.
Right. And to me that part of the fun, the not funny, the part that bothers me are these really conservative Christian groups that are so pro-Israel, and they want the temple rebuilt. They want the temple rebuilt so that you get the second coming. And then when the second coming comes, all of the Jews that didn't believe in Jesus, in their mind, are punished. So you're pro-Israel so that you can so that Israel can be punished. And I've always thought that was kind of, that's not a good, that's wanting your business ally to do well so that then they'll fail. I mean, it's like, I don't know about that.
Kind of hypocritical.
Yeah, kind of hypocritical. And realize the 1,290 days, again, it says days, but a day.
What's a day?
Yeah, there's all that kind of stuff. Okay. So this is all end time subject to interpretation. Happy are those who persevere and attain the 1,335 days. Happy are those who persevere and attain the 1,335 days.
That's another week. That's 7 days after.
So that would be 7 days after.
Yeah, a week later.
Okay. So you got to make it to the 1,290 days, and then you got to make it another. No, because it's 90.
Bad.
No, that would be 290 and 335. So that's 40 days.
40 days.
40 days, which makes sense.
Yeah,
40 days is 40 days. Yeah. So you get to the one, and then you got to survive to the next. That's going to be those 40 days are going to be bad. But you go your way and rest. You shall rise for your reward at the end of the days. So kind of for Daniel, the end is just go your way and rest, and don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You'll be rewarded at the end of the days, or at the end of time. All right. And so that is, from 11. Is it from 11? What I said was the little apocalypse. No, I guess that's all the way from 10, 11, and 12
Oh,
are
that's
sort of
what
the,
you were
the
talking about
little
this morning.
apocalypse. Yeah, yeah. Which it's sort of the book of Revelation, very similar, sort of condensed. Okay, so we finished Daniel. We're gonna be on break for the summer, and then we will start back in the fall. And we'll talk about that at some point. Okay, so I'm gonna take this off and
Oh, this is good.
turn it off. So we got through this year. We got through Revelation and Daniel. That's, I mean,